people don't defend government because when government works well, they usually don't notice. And when it doesn't work well, they just kind of annoy you. So let me give you an example, a very specific example. So I believe it was 1998, Bill Clinton ordered missiles to be fired at what he described as a terrorist training camp. Now, the timing was such that the Monica Lewinsky scandal had just come to light. Everybody, particularly his political opponents, said, oh, you're just trying to change the news. You're trying to use this military strike as a way to raise your own standing. And so, well, who was it that he was firing at? He was firing at Osama bin Laden. So the government that we malign, the intelligence apparatuses had decided first that Osama bin Laden was dangerous. And second, a lot of nameless, faceless, often heroic people had figured out where he was. And orders go up the chain to Clinton, who has to make this very difficult decision to effectively take out people, orders the missile strike on Osama bin Laden's training camp. Now, they missed him. And of course, the criticism went on. But let's suppose they'd gotten him. He can't go on the news and say, oh, what you don't know, people, is if we hadn't gotten him, he was going to blow up the Twin Towers. You don't know that, right? So I'll give you another example. But I'm old enough that when seatbelts weren't required when I was growing up, we kind of played around the car without seatbelts. And in fact, when they were introduced, people found them to be really annoying. And in fact, for a while, you couldn't turn on your car if your seatbelt wasn't locked. And then we just kind of compromised on that dinging bell. And so people were really annoyed. Well, in 2001, my family rolled a Ford Explorer and we all lived because we were in seatbelts and my children were in car seats, which are also legally required. So all those things, I never complained about seatbelts. It made sense to me. But, maybe we would have been lazy that night. Maybe the research hadn't been shared with us. Maybe we wouldn't have spent so much, maybe we wouldn't have had a government approved child seat for our children. So, people died because before they weren't wearing seatbelts. So there's a lot of stuff like that. But oftentimes when the government saves your life because you're drinking water, it doesn't look like Flint, or the next terrorist risk is averted, or the building doesn't collapse because it's safe. It doesn't catch on fire and you don't get trapped in it because there are exits and sprinklers. Oftentimes you don't know what the benefit of that was. Instead, it's just another cumbersome zoning restriction. So there are other reasons, but I do think that we owe a much larger debt of gratitude for people who are working, as I said, often namelessly, facelessly, for not a lot of money to collectively make us better off.